you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. If you like beauty content, you like reviews, you like unboxings, you like tutorials, things like that, take a minute, like and subscribe down below. Really helps me out and I'd appreciate it. So today's video is going to be another video of a full face of affordable makeup brands. And today's brand is going to be Revolution Beauty or Makeup Revolution, however you want to say it. Pretty much the same brand. So we're just going to jump right in. I usually start with primer and then I do my brows when my primer is sitting down. So first up we have these two. I have a face primer that came in an advent calendar I got of theirs. It just says primer base. And then I also got the Bright Light Face Glow in Gleam Light. And this is like a glowy illuminator. You guys know I love a glowy primer type thing. Like I love the e.l.f. Halo Glow and things like that. So I'm excited to try this out. But first I'm going to put on this one. It looks to be kind of like a moisturizer type consistency. Doesn't really have a scent. If I can find prices for any of this stuff, because I did purchase some of it, but the stuff that came in the advent calendar I might not be able to put a price tag on, but if I can find something on their website that may be similar or is the same product, then I will put the price points up on the screen or in a pinned comment. Alright, so there's not really anything on the back of this primer kind of stating what it's supposed to do. It literally just says primer base, and that's it, and where it's made and all that. But it feels nice. It feels like a moisturizer basically. And let me grab a mirror. Yeah, I don't see any like pore filling or anything like that. My face does look a little more hydrated though. So yeah, I'd say if you're looking for something kind of hydrating and moisturizing, I would pick up something like this if they have it available for sale. Alright, so far so good. And it absorbed into the skin like real quickly. Alright, so let's move on. We're going to do the illuminator. Like I said, this is the Revolution, Makeup Revolution Bright Light Face Glow in the shade Gleam Light. No, that's about it. So I'm just going to open it up. And I did purchase this. I tried to do my best to get a shade. So we're just going to put it all over. And get a little more out of there because I kind of wiped it off. Alright. And we're going to grab a primer brush. I love using these from AOA Studio or the e.l.f. ones to help me blend these out. These are really good for days where you want just a minimal coverage but want to look kind of glowy. You can use them on their own for that because usually they have some pigment to them. This one has some. I will say the e.l.f. one that I use does have more coverage than this though, but so far it's doing really well as a glowy primer because I can definitely see my redness still yet through. Okay. But it has a very, very nice glow to it. You guys can see how glowy my skin looks now. I love that, especially under my foundation. Alright, so let's move on to my brows. Let's see here. Let me find the brow pencil. It's eyeliner. Okay, so I got a brow pencil in medium brown, and I do believe I have a brow gel, I believe, as well, I think. Here we go. Alright, so I have an eyebrow crayon, I have an eyebrow gel, and I have a medium brown pencil. So I'm going to go with the crayon first, because you guys know I love the Essence one that I got in their advent calendar one year, and this looks very similar. Again, I got this in an advent calendar too, so I don't know if they sell this. If they do, I'll put it on the screen if they do, or in the comments, or in the description, I mean. So I just like to run it across my eyebrow like this, so dispersing it through my eyebrow first, and then I go back in and kind of just flick up and through the brow. Okay, definitely performing like the Essence one so far. Okay. Alright, nice. Yeah, I'm definitely liking this. Let me grab a spoolie. I'm just using the one that come with the ColourPop like feather effect brow wax. I'm just gonna brush it through. Okay. Nice. You guys know I have pretty much almost non-existent brows. I haven't dyed them in a while. They really need to be dyed again, but I don't have that much to begin with to work with. But I'm really liking this. Whoops. I hit my cup over there. I'm really liking this. It is very, very similar to my Essence one, so I'm very happy to have another one of these because my Essence one is starting to get pretty low. Alright, nice. Alright, let's go in with the brow pencil now. I don't know how much of a match it's going to be for me because it's medium brown. This, I believe, I think I also got in the mystery box, or not mystery box, the advent calendar. If I've been saying mystery box, I mean advent calendar. Alright, so let's just go right in. These are typically not the type I like to use because it's a pencil instead of like the retractable type. But we'll try it out, see how we like it. Alright, it's actually gliding in pretty nicely. I will say I like a darker shade of brown for my brow. Almost black. This one's not bad. You guys can see it's got some pigmentation and it's going through the brow pretty smoothly. I don't know if that's because of the wax though. It could be. I'll try to use this on its own to see if it works just as well through the brow. But so far so good. It's gonna work for what I want to do today. Alright, so let's go in with the brow gel now. I believe I got this one in the advent calendar as well. It's just a clear brow gel. Doesn't look like there's too much in there. And I'm just going to use this to set down my brows. I'm not wowed by that. It's just a basic brow gel, so nothing spectacular. So yeah, They may have a better version that's like a stronger hold, because I can already tell my brows are starting to fall with this one. It's just a basic brow gel, which that's typically what they put in the advent calendars. They really don't put like the better quality brow products in there. But this is what we're looking at, the brows. It's not bad. It's not, like I said, it's not the exact shade I want, but you know, it's doable. I can always go back in with a darker brow gel or something if I want. But we're gonna leave it like this, and we're gonna move on, and we are going, you know what, I'm gonna start on the eyes, because I don't know what the fallout situation is like with their eyeshadows. I do have an eye primer as well, and this is something else that came in the advent calendar. I believe it was for 2023 that I got this stuff. It may have been 2024, but I'm pretty sure it's 2023. And I'm just now getting around to using it. I can already tell this is probably not going to be my favorite eye primer, just because of the consistency of it. Because it looks like that, like, slippy type of primer. We'll see when I go to blend it out. This one does have some pigment to it. Right now it is feeling like that slippy Urban Decay ColourPop type primer, which I've told you guys, you know, if you've been here and you've watched my videos before, you guys know that's not my favorite type of eye primer. I prefer something more like P. Louise, Glamline, Anastasia Beverly Hills, that type of product. So yeah, just personal preference. I mean, it covered the lid, it blended decently, so if you like the slippy primers, you probably like this one. Again, if it's available. If not, I'll try to link some things that are similar in the same category if I can. Alright, so then we have the palette, and the palette I did get in the advent calendar as well, but they have plenty of eyeshadow palettes to choose from. We're going to go very neutral, warm tones today. And first thing I want to do, I don't have any brushes for Makeup Revolution, so I don't have that, but I'm going to go in, if I can get a brush, I'm going to go into this shade right up here, this matte like cream shade, and I'm going to set that eye primer down. You don't have to do that. When I use these slippy type primers, I like to do that though. Not a lot of kick up in that pan. Okay. Alright, let's see. I think I want to go into... I want to go into this shade right here. They don't have any names, they're just numbers. So some of these have some asterisks on them, which I'm going to assume means they're pigments. Yeah, they're pressed pigments. So number 5 here is a pressed pigment. Number 6 is a pressed pigment. And number 12, which I think is this one. It might be this one. I'm never good at reading these things. Alright, but let's go into this shade right here. And I'm just going to put that in my crease. Again, hardly any kick up. Well, actually, there's no kick up in the pan. And that is laying down really nice. Okay. As you can see, I went in twice, and that's what we've got going on. I'm going to dip in a little more, and I'm not going to kick it off this time because I just want to see how well it does, if there's going to be like fallout or anything. No, none. Alright, nice. Alright, now I'm going to clean off pigment on my switch. And I'm going to go into this lighter brown here and blend over top. Just to create a little bit of a gradient. Like I said, we're not going like colorful or anything because this palette doesn't have any colorfulness in it. There's like a little bit of pinky tones, like pinky neutrals too in here. If you wanted to go more pinky neutral than just basic neutral browns. These are blending really nice with each other. Alright, so the one thing that I see, there's not a really dark matte in here, which I like to do on the outer corner for my eye looks. There is a dark shimmer, so I'll probably end up putting that on the outer part of my eye. And this does, I will say this does smell like, with lack of a better word, it smells like cheap makeup. But it is not performing like cheap makeup. So, let's see. You know what, I'm going to dip into this with a little bit of this and see if I can get some build up on like a deeper tone on my outer edge here. Okay, yeah, that seemed to work. And I'm still just using the same brush. I'm using the Laura Lee Los Angeles number 3 brush. This is the one with Lunar Beauty and Laura Lee. So you may still be able to get them on Manny's site. Okay, yeah, this is working very nicely to do what I want it to do. Yeah, you guys see the difference in the depth here. Alright, so let's grab a flat brush. I'm going to use this ColourPop E3. Before I do though, I'm going to grab my shimmer stay. I use a glitter glue with every eyeshadow, no matter what the brand. So I'm going to use the Bella Beauté bar. If you want a more drugstore, this is an indie brand. If you want more drugstore, I recommend the NYX glitter glue for that. And I'm going to tap that across with my finger all the way over until I meet where I did the outer part of my eye with the darker shade. Okay, now what I want to do is I'm going to take that shade, but I'm going to use it as a shimmer right now. Put it right there, kind of meeting up with that outer part of the matte that I created. then I want to go into I'm going to go into this shade here. That one feels very hard pan. Ooh, but it looks nice on the lid. Okay. And then I think for the inner part of my lid, I want to go in with this shade here. I wonder if this palette has a name. Prestige, it looks like. So I'll look and see if I can find it on the website. Ooh, okay, those shimmers are very pretty. For a drugstore, they're performing really nice. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Very pretty. Alright, I'm going to repeat this on this eye and I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. You may hear a little noise outside. I forgot to zoom you guys in, so I'll try to do it in editing. Try to zoom you guys in a little more so you can see the eye look and things like that. So I got the flat brush, right, and then I forgot to do it on this eye. I used my finger, but I did use it off camera on this eye. So you can get a good amount of pigment with the shimmers and things with the brush as well as the finger. I tend to prefer the finger on the eyes, so if you prefer the brush, you could do that as well. It's definitely one of the better ones. I will say this shade right here, I did have to dig in a little more with the brush to get pigment, but other than that, it's not bad. Alright, so basically the top of the eyes are done. I do have some fallout now when I started to blend, simply because I have hooded eyes, so I have to bring my shimmers up above my natural crease, otherwise we wouldn't see the shimmers at all on my lids. So it is kind of transferring up a little bit, and then I have some fallout underneath my eyes now. Not the worst, definitely. I've had a lot of indie brands who are a lot worse, so it's not bad, but I am going to clean it up. Alright, let's get into foundations. So we have 3 different options here for foundations. We have their Conceal and Define, and I got the shade F4.5. Not gonna lie, it looks really light in here, so it kind of scares me. I also have the IRL filter in F12, which looks like it might be a little too dark. And then I have the Luminous Serum Foundation, the Skin Silk in F8. I think I'm going to go in with this one today because I've been hearing good things about this one. And then I'll try these two another time. I got a feeling I'll probably have to mix these two to get my shade. But I'm going to go in with this one. So it just has a cap that pulls off. And it has a pump, which is nice. Always love a pump foundation. Okay. Very liquidy. Alright, let's see how we do with the shade match here. Because I did have to shade match myself online, which is not the easiest thing to do. And we're just gonna it does have kind of like a clean scent to it. I don't think it did too bad on the shade. It's little peach for me. Okay, just gonna grab some more foundation. It feels very lightweight. Like, I don't really feel it too much on my skin. So I get why they call it skin silk. And we have that nice glowy primer underneath. I'm gonna have to look up the coverage claims on this because I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a light coverage or not. It is a serum foundation. I'm gonna pump out a little bit more. And let's see if I can build in my areas where my redness likes to peek through. Okay. Yeah, I'm liking how this is looking, and actually the shade match is pretty good. As long as it doesn't oxidize too much. It's actually looking really nice on the skin. Yeah, I'm very happy with how that looks. Alright. You guys can see I'm pretty glowy between this and the face glow together. I'm definitely looking like a grease slick, but nothing that a little powder won't help. But if you don't like that, I definitely would not pair these two together. I'm gonna get into concealer now. Before I do, like I said, guys, I'll try these two out in maybe like a get ready with me or something. So first I have the Bright Eyes Illuminating Under Eye Concealer in Fair. And then I have the Conceal and Define Full Coverage Conceal and Contour in C4.5. I've had this a while. Honestly, it's on its last legs. But I'm going to try this one out first. It does have the little poof. I will say I had these sitting, waiting for me to film. And they did start like drying out very quickly, so I had to like really twist up to get product up into the poof. I'm gonna twist a little more so I can see more product come out. Okay, so let's just go there, a little there. That looks very light. Very light and very liquidy. Okay, I'm gonna grab a concealer brush. I'm gonna use my Singe Beauty FO2, and we're just gonna put that right through here because we're gonna use it as an eye brightener. Okay, I did have to spread it across because it is so liquidy, but like I said, that may be my fault from where it's sat, but okay, it definitely brightened my eyes. Up close though, I can still see my dark circles, which, I mean, illuminating under eye concealer in Fair with vitamin C. So I'm going to say this is probably not meant to be like high coverage under the eyes. It's supposed to just make you look more awake. with some vitamin C benefits, which it is doing that. You know, from far away, I look more awake. But I am going to go back over it, or I'm going to go over it with the Conceal and Define, just to see if I can add some coverage with it. I will say I wasn't a huge fan of this concealer. It basically ended up being mostly used as an eye primer for me. And it's not going to stay in my collection after this because it's pretty much on its last leg. Alright, so I did get a very, very fair shade, so my under eye is going to be super bright, especially with that other brightening concealer underneath. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry if you hear a ball bouncing. I think my neighbor's kid might be bouncing a ball. Alright, let's just use that to do highlighty areas. I'm just going to use that same brush and then I'm going to go in with a sponge. Going in with the sponge now. This is just a Wet n Wild Beauty Creation, or not Wet n Wild, Beauty Creations My Little Pony sponge. Alright, let's go under here to kind of help. Yeah, I remember that's one of the reasons I didn't like that Conceal and Define concealer, because it sinks into my fine lines under my eyes and really emphasizes it. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Okay. Alright, so let's move on. I have some liquid and cream products. So I have a cream bronzer in light I can use. I also have this trio where it has a Hydra Bright cream blush, Goddess Glow bronzer, and a Goddess Glow cream highlighter. Also have another one. This is new. This is their like new blush trio they came out with. Yeah, it looks like the Patrick Star one. It's got a cream, a powder, and then like an illuminator. So I think I might save this for another video. We'll see. I might go in with it because I also have this quad here that has some blushes in it and a powder bronzer, and I also have this powder bronzer and this powder highlight. So yeah, I think I'm going to use the poofs today and see how I feel about them. Actually, no, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. So I'm not going anywhere today, so it doesn't matter if my look is like super cohesive. I'm going to do the poofs on this side, and I'll do the creams palette and stuff on this side. Okay, so let's start with the cream bronzer in this. I forgot to cut all this stuff open before filming. Okay. Like I said, this is the Ultra Cream Bronzer in the shade Light. It's very hard to open. What in the world? Got it. Oof. That is not easy to open. I'm just going to grab my stippling brush. Actually, I'm going to use this ColourPop contour brush in F8. And I'm going to dip right in to that bronzer. Cream bronzer. And we're going to do it on this side. how we feel about it. Okay. You guys hear my cat? She's like, I'm ready to leave. Let me out of this room. Yeah. Yes, honey, hold on. We call her, I like to call her Diva sometimes because she can be demanding. You guys heard her pretty well there, didn't you? Alright, so far I am liking this cream bronzer. It is light. I do prefer a little bit of a more warm tone bronzer, but this one is not bad. This one is very like natural looking, so I do like that. Alright, so now let's go in with the Poof one on the other side. This is the Goddess Glow Cream Contour and Bronze in Light. And it does have a locking mechanism. You guys know I love when they have the locking mechanism. Okay, there we go. And we're just going to put some on this side. I will say this one is looking a little more gray in person. You grab another brush so I'm not mixing. I'm going to use the stippling brush from ColourPop. This is the F4 for this side. Alright, very similar shades. This one is a bit, the cream is a bit more pigmented. So I'm going to add a little more to this side here. Yeah, this side. But so far I'm enjoying both. Let me lock this back before I forget. I like how both of these look. They both performed really well. So yeah, I'd recommend both of those. They're both very creamy, very blendable. Didn't have any issues. Even with, you know, like a more densely packed brush and a little more of a stippling brush. Yeah, was able to blend out very easily for both of those. I will say you're probably going to get a lot more product usage from this versus the Poof. Just simply because these tend to not have as much product as these do. But just down to personal preference, what you'd like. But yeah, I like both of these so far. Alright, so now let's go in with blushes, right? So we have the cream blush in this, and then I have a Hydra Bright Cream Blush. Do we have a shade for this? Peach. So we're going to go in on this side with the cream. And it does have the little protector. I'm going to use my two e.l.f. putty blushes for both sides. So I'm going to go in with the cream blush first. This is Hot Pink Flag. And let me know if you guys want a comparison between this and the One Size Beauty pink one that I have as well. So I'm just dipping into the pan, and I'm just going to go right in to this side of my face with that cream blush. Okay, blending super nice. I do like to drape my blush up around my temples. Okay, it is very buildable, which I do really like in a cream blush, because some cream blushes are so pigmented right off that it's like, wow, bam, too much, look like a clown in a second, and have to tone it down with powders and with, you know, going over with like a foundation sponge or brush. But this one is very nice and buildable. Yeah, I really, really like this one. Very pretty. Okay. Alright, now let's go into the poofy applicator. And again, it's going to be a shade difference because one is pink and one is peach. Okay. Oops. I don't think I got enough squeezed up. Well, that was not good. So it just exploded on me. So let's just get some on my finger, I guess. And I'm gonna put it over here. I'll put a little on my nose too. I have to set this to the side so I can get it cleaned up. It got an air bubble in it, and then I guess when I kept squeezing it, it just popped off. Let's go in with the other putty blush. This one is more luminous, because I mean it is called, was it Glowy Goddess or something like that? And this one is more pigmented right off the bat. I mean, well, I think, because I did get quite a lot because of where it kind of exploded on me. Not happy about that, because that was at least a couple uses of product that just come flying out of there. So you guys can see this is more glowy versus this side. This one's glowy, but this one is a lot more glowy. Alright. And you know what? I'm just going to add some more. I'm just going to do this. Try to use up some of that product that is excess. We're going to have a glowy Rudolph nose today. My hair. Okay. And now I'm going to go back into that cream. I'm going to build that side up. You guys can see this one is a lot more pigmented, especially when you're building it up. Granted, I used a lot. So just wanted to make you guys aware of that with the poof. Don't make the mistake I did and keep squeezing and squeezing, because it's going to pop off on you. Okay, now that I'm looking equally too much blush for my liking, I'm going to go in with my sponge. I'm going to go over both sides. I'm going to do this side first, and this side. And this kind of tones down that super glow that is going on with this one, with the peach shade as well. I'm gonna say right now, aside from the applicator failure, because that's one thing I didn't like with this, I prefer the cream blush over this one. Just simply because this one's a little too glowy for me. If you love a really, really glowy cheek, you would love this. Alright, let's move on. And we're going to do the powder bronzer and the powder blushes now. So, like I said, I have 2 powder bronzers, and I believe I only have, yeah, 2. Okay, so I have this powder bronzer that came in my advent calendar. Right, sorry about that. My battery reached its limit for recording time. I have this one that came in my advent calendar. This one looks kind of warm. I may still try it, but we'll see. And then we have this one that came in this palette. This is called Cheeky Blush Palettes. We have kind of this shade. I know it says blush palette, but that's more of a bronzery shade. And then we have a matte blush, and then these two, well, they're all matte blushes, but these two have a design in them. And then I have this blush on this side. So I'm going to go in with this blush on this side of my face. And I'm going to go in with the other blush on the other side of my face. But we're going to try the light bronzer first that's in here, because I got a feeling it's probably going to be too light for me, and I may end up mixing and matching. Let's grab a bronzer brush. Oh, that's blush. Alright, we're going to go in with this small contour brush from Sigma. I'm going to dip right in, and let's just start applying. Side. I'll be honest, I'm not really noticing a whole lot with this one. I just think because it's not the right shade for me. Even over top of, it's actually lightening that cream bronzer. Okay, let me clean off my brush. And then we're going to go in the other one, the little light one here, called, it says Shape on the back of it. And we're going to go in on this side with that one. Yeah. Okay, it looks intimidating in the pan, but it's not bad. Yeah, see, that's more of like a contour shade on me, where this is more of a bronzer shade on me. But I do feel like mixed together would probably be more the perfect shade for me. So I think that's what I'm going to do here in a second, all over my face. But first we're going to see how it looks. I just split down the sides. I can also say too, I'm looking up close at this blush, the one with the puff, and it really, really emphasizes any texture on the skin. So I'm not a fan of that. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys here. We have the light bronzer from this palette. on this side, and then we have the little advent calendar bronzer on this side. They're not too far off from each other. This one's just more warm, more bronzery. This one's more contoury. Okay, so I'm just going to dip back and forth between the two, and then I go all over my face. Alright, let's move on from those, and we're going to get into the powder blushes. Like I said, they both perform nice, but just shade wise, this one is too light for me, this one is a bit too warm tone for me, but together they make a good shade. Alright, so I'm going to go into, I'm going to say probably a mix of this shade and this shade, this shade and this shade on, let me look, on this side of my face with the peach poofy applicator. I'm going to go over on that one, and then we're going to go in with this like bright pink in this one on this side. Alright, I'm going to use the Singe Beauty F06 brushes. I'm going to go into the pink. Ooh, that is super pigmented, guys. I'm going to knock that off. Okay, we're just going to go right over that pink. Ow. If you want a bright pink blush, that's definitely one. Take the other brush, we're going to go into combination between this shade and this shade for the peach side. Okay, that one's pigmented too, just not, ooh, a lot of fallout from that one. Yeah, it may be because I put way too much on this side of the peach one, but I really am not liking how that looks. It is very, like, it's sinking into every texture and every line on that side of my face. And the powder, honestly, is making it worse. So yeah, I'll have to try it again when it's not as much product and let you guys know. Alright, but that is how the blushes are looking. I'm going to go over with my sponge. Okay. Alright, yeah, so this I love. Very buildable cream blush, very pigmented powder blush. Love it so far. Again, like I said, a little too warm for me, but blended nicely. Love this. Think this worked out really well and was very easy to blend for a cream. This palette is just kind of meh, honestly. This is a little more subtle for people who like very, very subtle blushes and bronzers. So yeah, I think I would not get this again. I believe this is one of the things I bought. So yeah, meh. This, like I said, gonna have to try again when there's not as much product on my face. Same with, what was it? The bronzer that was in, there it is. The bronzer in this. I really like this too. Okay, so let's move on. We have a highlighter. So I have the Revolution Bright Light Highlighter in Strobe Champagne. It's another one of those twisty ones. I also have the Goddess Glow Cream Highlighter Illuminator in Aglow in the poofies. And powder wise, I have this highlighter here, which is Condition. And then we have the like pinky highlighty blush topper in this one. So I don't think I'm going to use this today. I think I'll save that for another time to try out. But I am going to go in with this one on one side and this one on the other side. So we're going to stick with the poof on this side of my face. And then we'll go in with this one on this side of my face. So let's start with this one. The Bright Light Highlighter in Strobe Champagne with Quartz. This is another one that where it sat, like I had it sitting like this, it drained down and I had to twist and twist and twist. Okay, I don't want to sit here and keep expanding on the poof because I don't want the same thing to happen to me that happened on the other one. Alright, if we need more, I'll put more on. And I think I'm just going to take my finger and blend that highlighter in. Okay, it's pretty, it's very subtle. That gives a nice like sheen across. You guys can see right through there. And I'm looking super glowy today. Alright, let's go in with this one, the Aglow, Goddess Glow Cream Highlighter in the shade Aglow. Okay, let's try not to have a repeat of last time. Okay, gonna stop there. I'm gonna dot. I will say this looks like a lighter shade highlighter, looking like more of an icy white to silver. I'm gonna blend it with my finger too. Okay, yeah, that one is a little more like pow highlighter. It's still not like wow in your face. It's still a little more subtle, but it's not as subtle as this side. You guys can kind of see. It's a little more subtle, like a lighter, like a more like peachy kind of shade. This one is more like a light, let me rephrase, this is more like a champagne shade, and this is more like a bright white kind of shade. Almost silver looking. They're both very pretty though. Everything on my face is super tacky right now, and hasn't really dried down or anything, which, I mean, I'm not surprised because it's creams, you know, except for the powders that I did put on. But yeah, your hair is going to stick to it if you don't set this down. Alright. I will say I like the shade of this one better, the Aglow one. And I honestly like the applicator in this one better than I do this one. I feel like there's not as much product in this as you'd think there would be. But I do think that I would continue to use both of these products. Again, this one is a sponge applicator too. It's a little different, but it doesn't have a like locking mechanism like this one does. Alright, let's move on. And you can't stand it up either because it's rounded. Alright, let's move on, and we are going to put the powder highlight over top of both sides. This is the shade Condition. I did get it in the advent calendar box as well. And this is more of that champagne shade. And I'm going to put it on this side first. Yeah, that is like, wow. guys can see the difference. I will like to try it on its own without a cream highlighter underneath too, just to see kind of how it performs. Yeah, see, it's not as intense on this side as it is on this side. It definitely played up that lighter cream highlighter. Just gonna add a little bit more to this side. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna put it on my nose because I like a highlighted nose. Alright, let's move on. And do I have a setting powder? I don't think I do. How did I not get a setting powder? Wait, what is this? Yes, I do. I have the IRL filter 2-in-1 pressed and loose powder, blurs and mattifies. And I got the shade Translucent. Let me just open the box. Okay. I have seen this type of component with like the She Glam brand. I don't support She Glam or Shein, never have. But we have the pressed powder here on top, and then we have the loose powder here on the bottom. I do think that is nice, especially when you want to travel and you don't want to carry two separate powders. Maybe you like to use a pressed powder under your eyes or pressed powder on your face and vice versa type thing, loose and pressed. It'd be nice to have them with you all in one component. Alright. I'm just going to grab a poof. I'm going to use these from the Beauty Project. I got these from, oh, what's it called? Bell's Outlet. Make a mess. Wouldn't be me if I wasn't making a mess. And I'm just going to use the loose powder to set like my T-zone and all that. Probably all over my face too. Very finely milled powder. Grabbed a little too much there. Alright, you guys can see the difference here, right? This side of my face is powdered. See how it mattified? This side has not been powdered. You can look at the difference. It looks like it's doing a good job of blurring too. Okay, yeah, nice. Alright, let me powder the other side of my face now. You guys can see that highlighter is really shining through. That's the Aglow highlighter in the poof. So we're just gonna this is why I go through a lot of this stuff, because I love to use it for this step specifically, because sometimes, you know, I'm in my 40s and the powders can look kind of heavy on me no matter what it is. So I like to go over with a fixing spray. My favorite is the MAC Fix Plus. And then I go over with my Beauty Blender. I see my battery is blinking, so I will be back a little bit after I change my battery. Alright guys, I'm back and battery is changed. I'm just going over my face with the sponge. Everything is looking nice and cohesive now. So we're going to go back in and we're going to work on the eyes some more. So we have a couple things for the eyes. One, I have an eyeliner. It's just a simple black eyeliner. I'm going to use that on the bottom lash line because it's a pencil and I tend not to like this type, and this doesn't look like the type, and this doesn't look like the type that's going to be creamy. It's going to hurt to put in my waterline. Plus I don't want to close off my eyes with a black in the waterline. I have two liquid shadows here, and I think I might use, I think I'm going to use this one in the inner corner and maybe my brow bone. I might try and take this one and top over the eye look. We'll see. This may get used in another video, but yeah, so we have that, and then I'll use some more of the palette under my eyes as well. So let's go with the pencil first. Let me just swatch it here, see. Yeah, it's definitely not very creamy. Okay, so we're just gonna do a little line on the outer part of my eye. You guys can see there. Just to kind of give a little depth to the outer part of my eye, and then I might use it across here for my lash line as well, but we'll see. Okay, anyways, let's move on. We're gonna go back into the palette here, and I'm gonna grab a smudge brush, and I'm gonna grab my favorites are from Laura Lee, Los Angeles, and Lunar Beauty. This is the number 2. Yeah, number 2 brush. And I think what I want to do, I think I want to go into this shade here, oops, the shade here, to start with. I'm going to tap that off, and I'm going to go like right along that black, and all the way across. To kind of smudge it a bit. Yeah. This side's looking a little deeper for some reason. Let me go back in with the pencil. I don't think I built it up enough on this side. Not sure what's going on there. My one side is looking darker than the other for some reason. Let me see if I can kind of fix that a little bit. I think I might have gathered some of the upper lid's like darker shade and pulled it down. Yeah, I'm trying to fix that, but it's not working for me too well. Not sure what's going on there. I think it might just be the lighting from this side messing with me on the camera. Yeah, because in person it's not looking that way. Alright, I'm going to stop messing with it because I don't want to keep messing more and more and more. Okay, but that's what we're working with right now. And I'm actually going to go in with this shade here. And I want to go under both sides. Alright, now I am going to take this shade. This is a cream eyeshadow. I don't think it has a shade name. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. I got this in the advent calendar. So I'm just going to take a little bit of it on a tiny pencil brush. And this is from ColourPop, the E10. Kind of a thick little wand or consistency. And I'm going to put it in my inner corner. A lot more of an icy white shade than I thought it was. Let me try to tap that with my finger a bit. I'm going to take the other shade and I'm going to pop it right here. Brush that I used with the shimmers earlier, and I'm just gonna take that and tap that shade in. Yeah, I'm not a fan of those. Like, the shade is pretty, but it's kind of chunky. I'll try it on its own, just like as a one and done type look, but I got a feeling this is one of those that was really going to crease in my hooded lids. Oh, and it dries down pretty quickly. Alright. Yeah, not a huge fan of those two. Alright, so I'm not going to put that on my brow bone. I'm just going to go back into the highlighter and I'm going to put that on my brow bone. And then I think I'm going to go over where I put the liquid shadow in the inner corner as well. So now let's set down the face with this setting spray And then I'll get into mascara and lip liner and lipstick. Alright, so this is the Conceal and Define Infinite Mattifying Setting Spray. And I'm gonna pull my shirt up. I do this now because of what happened to me with the Essence setting spray. Actually, let me. It smells very perfumey. Okay. Yeah, not a fan of the smell of that setting spray. Mister was nice, wasn't too bad. Yeah, alright, so that powder did mattify me quite a bit, as you guys saw. I do feel like this did mattify me a little bit more. You guys know, though, that I tend to prefer a glowy setting spray. Like, I tend to mix and match. I'll do a mattifying to help control my oily T-zone. But I also love to go back in with a glowy primer to bring back that glow in my face. But I'm not going to do that today. So I'm going to go in with my eyelash curler. And then we're going to go into the mascara. Alright, and this is the Lift and Define 5D Lash Extreme Extension Mascara. 5-star length, 5-star lift, 5-star define, 5-star stretch, 5-star volume. Super Black Instant Lash Lift. And then this is the before and the after. Yeah, we'll see. You guys know I don't have very much lashes to begin with myself. I tell you guys all the time, like, because of that, it's kind of difficult for me to be the judge of mascara. But this one is making like some serious claims of like, it's gonna be so much more. So let's see. Alright, so I like the wand. I do tend to like these type of wands. Let me just scrape a little excess off the end here. Okay. Alright. And we're just gonna go with the base and roll. Alright, so here we go. Mascara. No mascara. In person, yes, it did give lift. It did give some length. But I have much better mascaras than this. It's not the worst that I've ever used, but it's also not the best. And I'm noticing as I'm like adding, it's kind of clumping a bit, especially on the ends of my lashes. So not a fan of that. Let's apply to the other eye. I did not pick up any false lashes from this brand. I don't know if they had any, because honestly I just didn't look for any because I forgot to. Because sometimes I do like to use the false lashes from brands to try out. Alright, so one thing I will say, it does have very good pigmentation on it. And like I said, it is giving me some length and some volume, just not wowed by the claim of what they made it to be. just going to add a little to my lower lash line. Which I like these like skinnier ones for that. Okay. Is it the worst mascara I've ever used? No. Is it the best mascara I've ever used? No. So it's just kind of an in-between for me. Now we are down to lips. So I have 2 lip liners and I have 2 liquid lips. And these all came in my advent calendar. So, do we want to do a pinky nude? No. We're not going to do that today because we did a warm nude. So we're going to go with Chauffeur in the lip liner. And we're going to go with, what is this one? Oh, Chauffeur in the liquid lipstick. I do think you can buy these. Like I said in the beginning of the video and throughout, I'll link whatever I can. And they are not affiliate links because I do not have any affiliate codes at the moment. They're just links that I put down to the websites that are useful for you guys. I will say I'm not a fan of the lip pencil. I like a creamy lip pencil, and these are more the old style wooden lip pencils. Yeah, very dry, very tuggy. Alright, so let's go in with the liquid lipstick now. See if that dries down. I'm not sure if it's going to be the like suck the moisture out of your lips type product. Alright, I'm going to gather everything back together and then we're going to talk about how I feel about each product. Be right back. Alright guys, I'm back and I'm not going anywhere for the day, so I just literally did this makeup just for fun and to show you guys how the products worked. So yeah, this is the finished look. So let's talk about the products, right? Okay, so let's start with primers. So I used the Bright Light Face Glow in Light from my primer, from one of my face primers. And this is the like the glowy underneath. Love this. I do wish it had a bit more coverage like the e.l.f. Halo Glow does, because I do love to use these type of products as a kind of like one and done, even out my skin tone type thing too. So that's the only negative I have about it, but other than that, I think it's beautiful. Wore nicely underneath, you know, great. Love this product. The other primer I used was the one that came in the advent calendar, and you know, it just says primer base, and this one basically to me just kind of felt like a hydrating moisturizer. Nothing spectacular about it, but yeah, I definitely use it again. It's just not something I'm just like wowed by, but I don't hate it either. Okay, brows. So the brow crayon I love. I'm happy to have this because my Essence one is getting very low, so I'm glad to have something as a backup. Love this. That they're not everybody's cup of tea because they're like a wax throughout your brow. The pencil, I told you guys I don't like these wooden brow pencils, and unfortunately the shade match is not a great shade match for me. It's too light for me and my hair color, because I have a darker hair color that I dye my hair. So yeah, this I won't be keeping. This I'll probably pass along just simply because it's not a good shade match for me, and it's not the type of brow product I like. I like a retractable, more creamy brow product. This one wasn't bad. It did, you know, go on pretty nicely. I don't know if that was because of the brow wax that I had in or not, but I know myself I'm not going to use this again because I don't like these type of products. So yeah, this is going out of my collection. The clear brow gel. This is another one that's just like a basic clear brow gel, and it didn't really, yeah, it did not hold my brows up great. I don't know if it claims to though. So yeah, this is another one that's like a no product for me. If you just like something basic to go through your brows, then yeah, but if you're wanting hold, I don't recommend this one. Foundation. So we didn't use these two, the Conceal and Define and the IRL, but I'll use them in another video for you guys. But we did use the Skin Silk Luminous Serum Foundation. Now, like I said, this paired with this was very glowy, simply because this is a luminous foundation and this is a glowy primer. So it was a little much. I did get to tone it down a bit with my powder, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But I love how this foundation looks. I think it's gorgeous. It's not settling into everything. It is a serum foundation, so you do kind of have to build up the coverage a little bit more than you would with something that's more full coverage, but I don't mind that, especially when I want something that feels lightweight, especially here in Florida in the summertime. So yeah, I actually really like this foundation, and the shade match I got with this one is pretty good. I'm a little concerned about the other two in the shade matching, but this one I really like. I would definitely use this again. Okay, the concealers and the eye brightener. Well, it's an eye brightener concealer. Yeah, illuminating under eye concealer in Fair. I didn't really care for this. Like I said, I don't know if it was because of where it settled, because it was kind of oily and liquidy on me, and I feel like there's not that much product in here. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of this, and I don't really care for the applicator on this either. I would rather use a doe foot type concealer. So yeah, this one is most likely not going to stay in my collection either. I'm gonna try the things again off camera before I fully decide whether I'm going to declutter something or not. But yeah, so right now the brow products and that are failures for me. Just kind of setting things to the side in the way that I like them. Okay, so the Conceal and Define concealer is a full coverage concealer. I told you guys at the beginning I didn't like this. I've used it in the past. I've had this for a while. It settles too much in my fine lines under my eyes and gets very crepey, and I just don't like it. It's just not for me because it does that. I don't like it. So yeah, that's another negative, but I told you guys that in the beginning. Moving on from there, we have the eye primer. Yeah, so this is that slippy type eye primer. This is one of the better ones, I will say. It's not as slippy to me, but it's still not one that I'm going to be reaching for, just because it's personal preference. I just don't like those type of eye primers. I love a more like concealery, pigmented type eye primer. So yeah, this one unfortunately is a no for me as well. But yeah, just personal preference on that one. Let's see, what else do we have? The bronzer. Let's start with the cream bronzer here. Love this. This looked very nice on this skin. I thought it was going to be too light, but it's actually a very nice, like, natural looking bronzer on me. So I will definitely be using this again. Love it. The powder bronzer, this one here, this one is a little too warm, like I said, on me, but mixing it with the shade in this one makes it a perfect shade for me, but I really don't want to have to do that. I hate when I have to mix the shades of things in order to get it right for me. I want to be like one product done because I have so many steps already in my makeup routine. So yeah, I mean, I know, because these blushes are very subtle too, so we're going to go ahead and talk about those. These powder blushes are very subtle. Don't get me wrong, I don't like a super pigmented blush, but I also don't like a you can't see it no matter how many layers you put on type of blush. So yeah, this is a no for me. Again, just still another personal preference, and since this is too warm, this is going to be a no for me too. It did blend nice, so if you get the right shade in this powder, I think it would be a nice powder. But yeah, I think I'll just stick with this, the cream bronzer, and just use, you know, something I already have in my collection, powder bronzer wise, that I know works. This I love. I love that the cream blush is very buildable. If you want a subtle look, you can get it. If you want a more pigmented look, you can get it. This powder blush is very pigmented, so you do have to go in with a light hand. I didn't use this, so I'll have to let you guys know whether I like it or not, but so far I'm really enjoying this cheek palette, and I think it's like 12 bucks. So yeah, nice. This cream blush I did not like. This is the Hydra Bright cream blush in peach. I'm going to say this again. I think it might have been I might have applied too much because so much came out. I'm going to try it again off camera, see how I feel about it. But right now I'm not loving it because it shows all my texture on my face and settles into lines and crevices on my cheek, and I'm not digging that at all. This cream did not do that. So again, it may just be because I used way too much, but yeah, I'll use it off camera. Right now it's a no for me. The contour in this one is a nice one. I would definitely use this one too. It says contour and bronze because these are pretty close to each other. I think it's just more a preference if you prefer this application over this application. I don't mind either one, but I will say I think I prefer this more over this one, but not by much. So nice, very blendable. Both of them very blendable and easy to use. Okay, highlighters. We have these two. We have the Goddess Glow Cream Highlighter, and we have the Bright Light Strobe Champagne. I think I am just not a fan of these type of applicators for this. It does not want to come off. Ugh. I think I'm just not a fan of these type of applicators for a highlight. I will say, I believe it's this one that was like pow in your face. You can still see the difference. This one I think was a little more subtle, if I remember correctly. I might be getting them mixed up. My memory's not as good as it used to be, but pretty sure it was this one that was like pow wow in your face, and this one was like it's just a little something something, you know. So yeah, I definitely preferred this one because I like a more beamy highlight on my face. I know that's not really like the trend anymore, so this is more like the trend now, this like subtle glow type thing, which I like that too, but when I'm like doing a full face, I prefer something that's gonna stand out and show out more. Okay, so moving on, we have the powder highlight. I like this highlighter. I think it's very pretty. It's the shade Condition. I have it over both sides, and I put it over the liquid eyeshadow in the inner corner, and I think it looks nice. You guys can see it's in my brow bone. Alright guys, I'm sorry about that. I'm back. My memory card filled up on me. Not sure what it was last time. I think I was talking about the highlighter, the powder highlighter. I really like it. You guys can see it's in my brow bone. It's over top of that liquid shadow. It's on top of both the highlighters. It's a nice little highlighter. I enjoy it. Let's talk about the powder. The 2-in-1 where you have the pressed on top and the loose on the bottom. Love this. I love the packaging. I love the fact you have both, and I love how it made my base look. It just smoothed and blurred everything. It doesn't feel like super powdery. It's very lightweight. I don't feel it on my face, anything like that. Very finely milled as well. Really, really like this. This is going to go into my rotation of powders for sure. I'd say that's probably my favorite of the video. Let's talk about these, the liquid eyeshadows. I don't like these. I'm not a huge liquid eyeshadow person to begin with, but I feel like these are very chunky. Again, I don't know if maybe that's where they sat or if they're just made that way. If you guys have had these, maybe you'll know. If you know, let me know in the comments down below. I'll try them again, like just as a one and done kind of shadow before I make my full decision on them, but right now I don't really like these. They're just kind of chunky and I didn't like how they look, and I feel like they're gonna crease on my eyelid, which is why I want to test them as a one and done eyeshadow. So the mascara, they had a lot of claims for this mascara, and it's not wow, it's like not life-changing the way they're like portraying it on the box. Is it a good mascara? Yeah, I don't hate it. It's not like really bad. It did give me volume, did give me length. It did get a little clumpy when I was layering it, but that is nothing I can't fix with a little mascara wand through my lashes. Yeah, I mean, same thing like I said before, it's not my best mascara, but it's not my worst mascara. So I'll definitely put it in my drawer to use. It's just not one I'm going to reach for over some of my favorites when I have like a no lash day. Alright, I think we're down to a couple things. So we have the Conceal and Define Infinite Mattifying Setting Spray. I do feel like it did help mattify my face a little more. I'm not out and about. It's not really a super hot sunny day in Florida today either, but I am going to wear this again and try it out, especially since it says it has a 16-hour long wear. I don't know if we'll be testing it for 16 hours, but I do want to test that out in Florida summer heat. The only thing is I don't like the perfume smell that it has. That's my only pet peeve with it. It does have a nice mister though, but it smells like a rose perfume, and I hate the smell of rose perfumes. So yeah, I'll have to look. Maybe there's like rose water in it or something. Okay, so there's that. But if the scent, I would like it a lot better if it didn't have the scent, because it looks nice, it felt nice, the mister was nice, just the scent is still too much. The eyeshadow palette that came in my advent calendar, the Prestige palette. I am pleasantly surprised with this palette. Normally I end up always decluttering Makeup Revolution eyeshadow palettes, but this one, I mean, I thought for sure in the beginning I was going to be decluttering it when I first looked at it. Now granted, it does have some that are a little hard pan, like this one is a little hard pan, this one's a little hard pan, but I can still get good pigmentation out of it. I do think this is a good everyday palette, and I will be keeping it for that reason. We'll see if it stays in and survives my next declutter. But yeah, right now I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, it's definitely a keeper. And then lastly, we have the liquid lipstick and the lip liner. Again, it's that pencil lip liner, and it's not the creamy pencil lip liner. These are the shades Chauffeur. I don't like this. If I have a pencil liner, I prefer it to be creamy. These remind me of like the old school 90s lip liners, and I'm not a fan of that. Like Glamlight has wooden pencil lip liners, but they're creamy. So that's more of what I'm looking for. This is not that. But if you like one that is more of a drier texture, I'm getting tripped over my words today. If you like one that is a drier texture and get a very, very precise line, you'll like this, but it's just not for me. The liquid lipstick. It's definitely dried down. It's not gonna transfer. Well, I don't think. Let me test that. Yeah, there is no transfer on that. So that is nice, but it is drying. Like I can see the cracks in my lips a lot more. It's that old school liquid lip. It's not as bad as some, because it is a little comfortable, a little. Emphasis on a little comfortable. But I can tell that it is that style of liquid lip. So yeah, I don't I have used those, and I do tend to prefer liquid lips that don't transfer like that, because I don't have to apply my makeup, my lipstick constantly when I'm drinking and eating, right? So I do want to test it out with that, because it's not the worst in the world. It's just, there's a lot more comfortable liquid lipsticks out there now. But so far I haven't found ones that don't transfer, that are comfortable. So there is that. But this one is not as bad as some. It is settling in my lines, don't get me wrong. But it's not as bad as the, what was the ones I used recently? The Colored Rain liquid lipsticks. Those were so bad that I was out and my sister goes, "What do you have on your lips?" And I was like, "Well, it's this." She's like, she's like, "It's so dry and crusty on your lips, it does not look good." Which I'm glad my sister told me that. I would rather you be honest with me and tell me that that looks like crap. You might not want to wear that out in public anymore, you know? So I'm glad she told me about it. And I looked at it after she said to me, yeah. I knew it felt drying on my lips, but I didn't realize how bad it looked until I went to dinner and before and checked it. And I was like, ooh, gross. No. So if they're not in business anymore, but yeah, I don't recommend those. This is not quite that, but it's definitely a drying formula. Okay. So yeah, that is how I feel about a full face of Makeup Revolution. Let me know what you guys think about everything. What do you think about the look? Down in the comments. Yeah, so I have a couple more videos that I will be filming of different brands like this. Let me know in the comments down below if there are any other brands that you want to see specifically, and I'll do my best to try to do that. So far I've done a full face of Dollar Tree makeup. I can do that again if you guys want, because it's been a while. I have done a full face of Physicians Formula. That I also have a full face of e.l.f. that I have Catrice, I have Milani over here, I have Sephora. So yeah, let me know if there are any other brands you want to see. I have a lot of ColourPop. ColourPop is kind of considered a drugstore brand, like an indie drugstore brand, so if you want to see that, let me know. Yeah, so yeah, let me know in the comments down below if there's any other brands you want to see, what other type of content you guys like to see. I'm always trying to expand my channel a little bit and put things up that, you know, I still enjoy, but I know you guys want to watch as well. Alright, if you guys would please like and subscribe down below, it really helps me out, and I would appreciate it. Until next time, guys. Bye!